were you saying about KD?
That this is, I had to do Sirius XM yesterday, and it was referring to Charles Barkley's comments about Kevin Durant. And Charles Barkley, in a nutshell, pretty much said, LeBron had to respond to the. Oh, do you want to throw it to the sound?
You want to hear it?
Yeah, I would love to.
Here's Barkley, pro and college basketball Hall of Famer, on First Take. Here he is.
If you go back and look at LeBron, who I really admire and respect, he said this. I did not say this. He says, I had to win a championship without Dwayne to get old heads respect. Kobe Bryant said this too. He says, I have to win a championship without Shaq to get these old heads off my back. I hold Kevin Durant to the same criteria. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what the fan says. I'm talking about old guys like myself who went through the trenches. Kevin Durant gonna have to, he's an all-time great. But when it comes to being mentioned with some of these other guys, he gonna have to win a championship where he's the leader of the team and he's the best player.
So, like I said before, leader of the team can mean different things. Like, he's not the vocal LeBron James like leader of a team, but as it relates to leading by example, being in the gym, that is a form of leadership where I disagree with Chuck. What I will say, though, is that comment led me to think about Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq, one of the most dominant players ever. Is he a great to you, Max?
Of course.
He's a great. He won one with Kobe. He won one with D. Wade. He didn't have to go out and win one by himself, did he?
Everyone needs someone. Yes.
Everyone needs someone, right? So, like, for me, if you're Kevin Durant, even if you do win one with Phoenix, basketball purists will say Phoenix has never won an NBA championship. Phoenix is a team that got blown out last year in a Game 7, in a game that we felt like they were going to be in, and got smashed, right? And now he's reviving Chris Paul and Devin Booker to help them get over the hump to win a championship. That's how I will look at it. But natural members of the media are going to say, well, he still forced his way out of Brooklyn because that failed, and he still got himself to another team where they had another perennial all-star in Devin Booker and CP3. So it does feel like if you're KD, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You can't worry about other people cementing your greatness. All that matters at the end of the day is that you will be a two-time Finals MVP. You're a two-time world champion. And if you become a third-time Finals MVP and a three-time world champion, then he will be considered one of the greatest to ever do it. He may not be LeBron James. He may not be Michael Jordan. But you're not going to sit there and dismiss his talent. I was on vacation, and I saw you on First Take talking about Nikola Jokic saying stat padding. And then I saw Redick yesterday on First Take going at you for stat padding. So you're kind of saying, hey, what you're talking about, Perk, I disagree. This is not what Jokic is. I know this is a polarizing subject around Jokic, but I know you responded via Twitter, but I want you to respond to Redick live on our show about your thoughts on Jokic and his compliment on it.
Well, first of all, Jay, I heard you tell me one time, hey, man, if you want to slap box, at least let me be there to throw my punches back.
Ahead.
At least let me be there to throw my jab and my uppercut. That was my response to JJ. But here it is, right? It's no disrespect to Jokic. I feel like he's one of the most skilled bigs to ever play this game of basketball. And when I made the comment about him averaging a triple-double, I simply reminded Stephen A. on First Take that I witnessed him go from averaging around 9.5, then it went to 9.6, and I saw his shot attempts go down, and he started passing the ball even more. Now, my whole thing was that stat padding happens all around the damn league, man. Let's not sit up here and be fooled like, Jay, that you wasn't in locker rooms and throughout the course of a game, guys was a rebound away from having 20 and 10 or, 20, two assists away from having a triple-double, and they wasn't aware of it at the time, and guys was, like, not helping them trying to get to that goal. So let's not act like guys don't know what their numbers are. They're having conversations between their family, friends, with their agent. They know where their numbers are at. That's why you see guys today when it's time to take those half-court shots, at the end of quarters or at the end of halves. You see guys just dribble the clock out, right? You know why? It started from guys not wanting to mess up their three-point percentage. So let's not act like this don't exist. Like, this happens, and it's okay. You know who's the second, all-time leader for his field goal percentage in Celtic history? It's me. And Robert Williams just passed me up. And I remember when I was on the verge of breaking Cornbread record for his field goal percentage, highest field goal percentage in the season, in Celtic history. Guess what? Max Cornbread used to always come up to me and say, "Hey, man, you open at the elbow." I was like, "I'll dribble a hand off and get the shot clock violation before I not break this record and be number one over you," right? I would tell them that.
In other words, that's your version of it. That's your version of what you're saying Jokic is doing.
No, but what I'm saying is this, Max. What I'm saying is this. It happens around the league, and locker rooms are aware what these people, what these players and guys are capable of doing. And there's no lie about it. It don't matter what your personality is and all that. Like, okay, people used to criticize Russell Westbrook.
I was about to say Westbrook.
Every single season.
And how much of that do you think comes from when you average a triple-double, when you put up stupid numbers, as Westbrook did, as Jokic is doing now, as Giannis did once upon a time, before you win a championship, people are like, yeah, that's great. But in this league, it's really about the playoffs. It's a long playoff season. Do it in the playoffs, right? Like, to me, most of the criticism about Jokic, what's underneath it, is the lack of deep playoff runs, right? Like, isn't that really what we're talking about?
Absolutely. When I think about the guys like Giannis, right? Just think about Giannis. When he won the MVP back-to-back years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next goal for him coming into that season, the next conversation people was having, was about whether or not he was going to go to the finals
100%.
and win a championship. Like, and that goes for anybody that didn't win the MVP. It was the same energy with Steph Curry. So why are we not keeping the same energy when it comes down to Jokic, especially if we're talking about him being on the verge of winning his third straight MVP?
100%. I think we are on that energy. I think we are. I think many of us in the media are on exactly that energy. Like, okay, great, but what are you going to do in the playoffs?
Yeah, and the other part to that conversation, Big Perk, is are we looking at Jokic as a top 5 player in the game? A lot of people don't, just because he hadn't had success once we got to the postseason. This guy ain't got out of the second round since he started winning MVPs.
I've never seen a disconnect like this where a guy monopolizes the MVP, and yet he floats in and out of my top 5 at like 5.
Yeah.
He's not in almost anyone's top 3. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it's wild.
Well, let me ask y'all this. How are you on the verge of winning your third consecutive MVP and you're still not labeled as the best player in the league? Guys don't look at you. Forget the media and the fan base, but think about his peers. Like Malik Andrews sat down with Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell, and Ja Morant. And when she asked about who was the best player in the league, they all said, I believe, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So my thing is, how is a guy right now about to win? See, this is what I keep saying about moving the goalposts when it comes down to winning the MVP. Like last year, for example, the Denver Nuggets finished number 6 in the West, one game from not being in the play-in tournament. Joel Embiid led the league in scoring. I mean, guys were having these great runs and having individual performances, but still we move the goalpost so much every single year for, I believe, guys who we want to win the MVP.
If he continues to play 38-plus minutes, 40 minutes a game, at his age, given all the miles, he's going to suffer a catastrophic injury. Jay, the fact that it's just a foot that popped and they think he can be reevaluated in 2 weeks and maybe
No.
They lucked out, but the fact that this is not an Achilles, they lucked out, Jay.
And LeBron James should not come back. Obviously, you have to go through an MRI, you go through the process, you see what the injury is. But if it's something that is lingering over a period of time, even for a playoff push, like you're going to jeopardize the next couple of years of your career that you have left down the stretch, it automatically comes back to me, Max, before we talk about Kevin Durant, about what other high-level guard are you surrounding LeBron James with that can help unload a lot of the weight that he feels like he needs to carry from an initiation perspective, right? He does a lot of it. Playmaking ability, scoring, defense. This year, obviously, with the scoring title was something that obviously drove him. He was ambitious about it, but he was keeping him in contention single-handedly.
He was, and it's like everyone, forget about this year for a second. If you're a Lakers fan, they were never going to win a championship this year. The main thing is, will LeBron be good to go next year? Can AD show some consistency in terms of his ability to stay on the floor? Don't worry about the fact he can't assert himself and be an alpha and blah, blah, blah. He is not. He is the number 2 guy on this team anyway, even next year. And can the Lakers put enough pieces around them, and they've started to put the right kind of pieces around LeBron to make a run next year? Lakers fans got to think about next year. Don't delude yourself right now. If LeBron has not just suffered a catastrophic injury, you have dodged a bullet. If AD can stay on the floor, well, it's empty calorie stats. That's
fine.
okay.
Just stay healthy, AD.
Stay healthy. LeBron will come back. And if Pelinka can now start gathering the right kind of pieces to put around LeBron, the Lakers can make a run next year. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.